Picture this. While everyone else is rushing forward, making impulsive decisions and chasing instant gratification, there's a different breed of man standing still, observing, calculating, waiting. The Sigma male doesn't leap before he looks. He looks again, and then looks a third time before making a move so precise it seems effortless to others. But here's what most people don't understand. This isn't hesitation. This is mastery. Today, we're diving deep into the strategic mind of the Sigma male and uncovering the 8 powerful reasons why he observes repeatedly before taking action. If you've ever wondered why some men seem to make all the right moves while others constantly stumble, this is your answer. This isn't about being slow, it's about being unstoppable. And if you recognize yourself in what we're about to reveal, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is your headquarters for understanding the Sigma mindset. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's get into it. 1. Pattern recognition mastery. Let me tell you something that separates the Sigma from the average man. He sees what others miss because he's trained himself to recognize patterns in human behavior, market trends, and life situations that repeat themselves endlessly. While everyone else is caught up in the noise of the moment, the Sigma is watching the symphony unfold, understanding each note before it's played. Think about it like this. Imagine a Sigma male in a business meeting. Everyone's excited about a new opportunity, ready to jump in immediately, but he's quiet. He's seen this exact scenario play out 3 times before in different contexts. He recognizes the pattern: initial enthusiasm, overlooked red flags, eventual collapse. He's not guessing, he's reading the code of reality that most people are blind to. Here's a practical example. A Sigma observes his workplace for months before making any political moves. He notices that every person who got promoted did 3 specific things consistently. He sees that conflicts arise every quarter during budget reviews. He recognizes that the real decision-maker isn't the CEO, but the quiet CFO who nods or shakes his head subtly during presentations. This pattern recognition allows him to make one strategic move that takes others years to achieve. The Sigma doesn't just look once and act. He looks repeatedly because each observation adds another layer to his understanding. The first look shows him the surface. The second look reveals the undercurrents. The third look exposes the hidden mechanisms. By the time he moves, he's not gambling. He's executing a calculated certainty. This is why Sigmas seem to have an almost supernatural ability to predict outcomes. They don't. They simply recognize that history doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes perfectly, and they've memorized every verse. 2. Risk mitigation intelligence. The Sigma male understands something fundamental about life that most men ignore. Every action carries consequences, and most consequences are irreversible. This isn't pessimism, this is reality-based thinking. When a Sigma looks repeatedly before moving, he's not being paranoid. He's being intelligent about risk. Consider this scenario. A business opportunity presents itself. The potential upside looks incredible, triple your investment in 6 months. Most men see the reward and jump. The alpha might even leverage his ego into the decision, convincing himself he can't fail. But the Sigma, he looks once and sees the opportunity. He looks twice and identifies what could go wrong. He looks a third time and calculates whether he can survive the worst-case scenario. Here's what makes this brilliant. The Sigma isn't trying to eliminate all risk. That's impossible and would mean never taking action. Instead, he's mapping the risk terrain like a military general surveying a battlefield. He identifies the mines, the ambush points, the vulnerable flanks. By the time he moves, he's already prepared contingency plans for 5 different failure scenarios. Let me give you a real-world example. A Sigma considering a career change doesn't just quit his job because he's unhappy. First observation, he identifies the problem. Is it the job, the industry, or his approach? Second observation, he researches the target field, talking to people already there, understanding the hidden challenges. Third observation, he builds skills and connections while still employed, creating a safety net. When he finally makes his move, it's not a leap of faith. It's a calculated step with parachutes already deployed. This risk mitigation intelligence is why Sigmas rarely experience catastrophic failures. They might move slower, but they never have to backtrack, restart, or recover from devastation. Every move is sustainable, defensible, and reversible if necessary. 3. Energy conservation strategy. Energy is the most valuable currency a Sigma possesses, and he treats it like the finite resource it is. This is where most people fundamentally misunderstand the Sigma's repeated observation before action. They think he's wasting time. In reality, he's saving enormous amounts of energy by refusing to make corrective moves later. Think about the average person's approach to problem solving. Act quickly, realize it's wrong, pivot, adjust, course correct, apologize, rebuild. Each of these steps drains energy. Mental, emotional, physical, and social energy. It's exhausting. The Sigma watches this chaos and chooses a different path entirely. Here's the strategy. By observing repeatedly, the Sigma ensures that when he does move, it's the right move. One precise action versus 10 frantic corrections. Imagine you're in a negotiation. The impulsive person makes an early offer, then spends the rest of the meeting backpedaling, explaining, defending. The Sigma stays silent through the first hour, observing body language, listening to priorities, identifying pressure points. When he finally speaks, his single offer is so well calibrated that there's nothing to correct. One move. Done. Let me show you this in relationships. A Sigma meets someone attractive. Instead of immediately pursuing, texting constantly, planning elaborate dates, he observes. How does she treat service workers? How does she handle stress? What are her actual values versus her projected image? This observation period might last weeks or months. But here's the genius. If red flags emerge, he walks away having invested minimal energy. If green flags dominate, his eventual pursuit is so aligned with who she actually is that the relationship develops naturally without the exhausting games most men play. The Sigma knows that impulsive action feels productive, but often leads to energy bankruptcy. Strategic observation feels passive, but actually conserves power for the moments that truly matter. When he moves with full force, because he hasn't wasted his ammunition on empty targets. 4. Emotional detachment advantage. Here's a brutal truth that most men struggle to accept. Emotions make you blind. Not stupid, blind. They don't reduce your intelligence. They reduce your ability to see what's actually in front of you. The Sigma male's repeated observation before action isn't just about gathering information. It's about letting emotional interference fade so he can see clearly. When something triggers an emotional response, excitement, anger, fear, attraction, your brain literally changes how it processes information. You start looking for evidence to confirm what you feel, rather than objectively assessing what's real. The first look is contaminated by emotion. The second look begins to clear. The third look? That's when the Sigma sees truth. Picture this practical scenario. Someone disrespects a Sigma publicly. The immediate emotional response is anger, the desire to retaliate, to dominate, to prove superiority. The Alpha acts on this immediately, creating drama, burning bridges, winning a battle, but losing strategic advantage. The Sigma? He feels the anger, he's human, but he doesn't act on it. He observes. First observation, what motivated this disrespect? Second observation, what do they actually want? Third observation, what's the strategic response that benefits me most? By the time he responds, the emotional heat has dissipated. What remains is cold calculation. Maybe he realizes the person is irrelevant and ignores them completely, denying them the reaction they sought. Maybe he identifies that they're a useful idiot, revealing information about a larger threat. Maybe he sees an opportunity to let them destroy themselves while he appears magnanimous. The key is, his response isn't emotional, it's strategic. Here's another example. Investment opportunities. Someone approaches a Sigma with an exciting business venture. First look, emotion says this sounds amazing. Second look, emotion begins fading, practical questions emerge. Third look, pure analysis, numbers, track records, incentives, risks. The Sigma who acts after the third look makes money. The man who acts after the first look loses his shirt. This emotional detachment isn't about being cold or inhuman. It's about refusing to let temporary feelings dictate permanent decisions. The Sigma feels everything. He just doesn't let those feelings make his choices for him. 5. Information gathering superiority. Knowledge is power, but incomplete knowledge is dangerous. The Sigma male understands that the first piece of information you receive is rarely the whole story. It's usually the story someone wants you to believe. This is why he looks repeatedly. Each observation reveals information that was hidden during the previous look. Think about how information flows in any situation. The surface level is what everyone sees, the official story, the public face, the obvious facts. But beneath that, layer upon layer of hidden motivations, undisclosed relationships, unstated agendas, and concealed consequences. Most people make decisions based on surface information and then act shocked when hidden factors destroy their plans. The Sigma operates differently. Let's use a career opportunity as an example. First look. Great salary, impressive title, exciting company. This is what the recruiter shows you. Second look. The Sigma digs deeper. He connects with current employees on professional networks, asks indirect questions, reads between the lines of company reviews. He discovers high turnover in this specific role. Third look. He identifies why. The role reports to a toxic executive who burns through talent. Fourth look. He learns this executive is protected by the CEO and unlikely to change. By the fifth look, the Sigma has information that transforms his decision completely. What looked like an opportunity is actually a trap. He declines the offer and 6 months later watches 3 people cycle through that position, each lasting less than 90 days. Meanwhile, he found a better opportunity because he kept looking while others stopped at the impressive salary. Here's the crucial point. The Sigma doesn't just gather more information, he gathers better information. He knows that official sources give you official stories. Real information comes from observing behavior patterns, following incentive structures, and asking questions nobody else thinks to ask. When someone tells him one thing but their actions suggest another, he trusts the actions every time. This information superiority compounds over time. While others make decisions in fog, the Sigma moves through clarity. While others are surprised by unexpected developments, the Sigma saw them coming 3 moves back. This isn't luck or intuition. It's systematic information gathering that refuses to stop at convenient answers. 6. Timing perfection instinct. There's a concept in martial arts called sen no sen, catching the opponent at the exact moment they commit to their attack, when they're most vulnerable and unable to change course. The Sigma male applies this principle to everything in life. He doesn't just observe to know what to do, he observes to know exactly when to do it. Most men understand that timing matters, but they don't truly grasp how much. The same action, taken 1 week earlier or later, can produce completely opposite results. The Sigma's repeated observation isn't just about gathering information, it's about sensing the precise moment when conditions align perfectly for his move to create maximum impact with minimum resistance. Consider a practical example in business. A Sigma identifies that his company needs a solution he can provide. The impulsive person pitches immediately and gets rejected. Wrong timing. The boss is stressed about quarterly results, not receptive to new ideas. The Sigma observes. He notices when quarterly numbers come in strong. He observes when the boss is in an expansive mood, talking about future growth. He notices when a competitor announces a similar solution. That's when he makes his pitch. Not because the idea changed, but because the timing became perfect. Same idea, different timing, opposite result. Here's what's fascinating. The Sigma develops an almost instinctive sense for timing through repeated observation. He notices that certain types of opportunities emerge in cycles. He recognizes that people's receptivity to ideas varies based on their emotional state, recent experiences, and external pressures. He understands that markets, relationships, and social dynamics all have rhythms, and power comes from moving with those rhythms, not against them. Let me give you a relationship example. A Sigma is interested in someone who's just ended a long-term relationship. The desperate man moves immediately, trying to fill the void. He gets rejected or becomes the rebound. The Sigma observes. He maintains friendly contact but doesn't pursue. He watches her process the breakup, rediscover herself, stabilize emotionally. When she's genuinely ready, not just lonely but ready, that's when he makes his move. The timing transforms everything. She's available mentally and emotionally, not just technically single. This timing perfection is why Sigmas seem to have supernatural luck. They don't. They simply refuse to force moves when conditions are wrong, no matter how good the opportunity looks. They wait for alignment, and when it comes, they strike with precision that seems effortless because the timing does half the work. 7. Consequence prediction ability. Every action creates ripples. The Sigma male's repeated observation before making his first move isn't just about understanding the present, it's about predicting the future. He's developed the ability to trace consequence chains, seeing not just the immediate result of his action, but the second-order, third-order, and fourth-order effects that will unfold over time. This is where most men fail catastrophically. They see one move ahead, like chess players who only consider their next turn. The Sigma sees 5, 10, 15 moves ahead. He asks questions most people never consider. If I do this, what happens? And then what happens because of that? And what happens because of that? Here's a powerful example. A Sigma is offered a promotion that requires relocating to a different city. Surface level, more money, better title, career advancement. Most men accept immediately. The Sigma observes and projects consequences. First order, higher salary and prestige. Second order, removed from his current network and support system. Third order, the new location has a higher cost of living that partially negates the raise. Fourth order, the role has extreme travel requirements that will damage his relationship. Fifth order, this position is actually a testing ground where the company burns out ambitious employees before promoting them or letting them go. By observing repeatedly and thinking through consequence chains, the Sigma realizes this opportunity is actually a sophisticated trap. He declines, maintains his current position, and 18 months later gets offered a better role that doesn't come with hidden costs. Meanwhile, 3 colleagues took the original promotion and all left the company within 2 years, exhausted and disillusioned. The Sigma applies this consequence prediction to every domain. In conflicts, he doesn't just consider winning the immediate argument, he considers how winning affects long-term relationships, reputation, and future opportunities. Sometimes he lets someone win because he's predicted that their victory will ultimately serve his larger strategy. That's not weakness. That's playing a different, longer game. Here's a social example. Someone spreads rumors about a Sigma. The immediate consequence of aggressive retaliation would be that the rumors stop. But second-order consequences? He looks petty and insecure. Third order, others sympathize with the rumor monger. Fourth order, his reputation as someone who overreacts becomes more damaging than the original rumor. So instead, the Sigma does nothing publicly. He observes. He lets the rumor monger escalate until they discredit themselves. Consequence predicted, consequence manifested, victory achieved without a single direct action. This ability to predict consequences comes from those repeated observations. Each look reveals another link in the causal chain. By the time the Sigma acts, he's not hoping for a good outcome. He's engineered one through understanding causality that others can't see. 8. Self-trust validation process. Here's the deepest reason why Sigma males look repeatedly before making their first move, and it's something that most people will never understand. They're not just observing the external situation, they're validating their own judgment. The Sigma knows that his greatest asset is his ability to read situations accurately, and he protects that asset religiously by refusing to act on incomplete assessment. Think about it like calibrating a precision instrument. If you rely on a tool for critical decisions, you don't just trust it blindly. You test it, verify it, ensure it's accurate. The Sigma's mind is his most valuable tool, and repeated observation is his calibration process. The first look generates an impression. The second look tests that impression. The third look confirms or corrects it. By the time he acts, he's not just confident in the external situation, he's confident in his own judgment of it. This is radically different from how most men operate. They make quick decisions to appear confident, even when they're uncertain. They'd rather be wrong quickly than right slowly, because they're more concerned with how they're perceived than with actual accuracy. The Sigma doesn't care about appearing decisive. He cares about being right, and he's willing to look indecisive to others while he validates his assessment internally. Let me show you this in practice. A Sigma is evaluating a potential business partner. First impression says, this person is trustworthy, but the Sigma doesn't act on first impressions. He observes again. Small details emerge, inconsistencies in stories, subtle shifts when discussing money, avoidance of direct answers. The second observation contradicts the first. The Sigma observes a third time, specifically looking for which impression is accurate. He creates small tests, low-stakes situations that reveal character. The third observation confirms the second impression. This person is not trustworthy, just skilled at appearing so. Now here's what's crucial. The Sigma doesn't just walk away from the bad business partner. He learns from the calibration process. He identifies what created the false positive in his first impression. Perhaps physical charisma that distracted from behavioral red flags. He updates his internal assessment algorithms. Next time he encounters similar charisma, he'll be more cautious. His judgment improves through this validation process. This self-trust validation is why experienced Sigmas become almost eerily accurate in their assessments. They've run thousands of these validation cycles. They've tested their judgment, found their blind spots, corrected their biases, and refined their perception. When an experienced Sigma makes a move, he's not just confident about the external situation, he's confident that his judgment of it is accurate. That double confidence is what creates the unstoppable precision that defines Sigma success. The repeated observation isn't hesitation. It's quality control for the most important asset you possess, your own mind. And that's why, when the Sigma finally moves, he moves with absolute certainty. There you have it, the 8 reasons why Sigma males look repeatedly before making their first move. This isn't about fear or indecision. This is about operating at a level most people will never understand. While others are busy making moves and fixing mistakes, the Sigma is making one calculated move that changes everything. The next time someone tells you you're overthinking or moving too slow, remember this. They're playing checkers while you're playing chess. They're reacting to the board in front of them, but you're seeing 10 moves ahead. If this resonated with you, If you felt that recognition deep in your core, do yourself a favor and subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of men who refuse to settle for average thinking, who understand that true power comes from strategic patience. Click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and join us as we continue exploring what it really means to operate as a Sigma male in a world designed for everyone else. Until next time, keep observing, keep calculating, and make your move count.